Hello. I want to talk to you today about a website refresh and how to know when it's time for a website refresh. This is a bit of a different video for me. Usually I create a lot more tutorial type stuff, but this is a tutorial. It's just less like directly how you click things. This video is inspired by two things. One is my own website refresh, which I'll show you a little sneak preview of at the end of the video. Well, not sneak preview, it's up live. It has been for about a month. Um, and also by an offer that I have that I'll share with a little bit with you. It's a really, really cool thing. But anyway, without further ado, how do you know when it's time for a website refresh? Um, for context, I built the second iteration of my website. So I built the first iteration of my website in Squarespace 7.0, um, like 5 or so years ago. And then I built the second iteration of my website as a lockdown project. So right at the start of lockdown in 2020. And that was something for me that was really good for keeping me distracted in the early days of the pandemic. So I threw myself into learning 7.1 when it was new and taught myself how all these really cool new simplified features worked. There's a lot more control, and that was really exciting. And then I have used that site ever since. Since then, Squarespace has added loads of new features. They've introduced Fluid Engine. They have added video pages, and they've added member areas, all these new things over the last 3 or so years. And I've used quite a lot of those on my site. Additionally, since I started the most recent version of my site, I have a blog. I had a podcast. I still have a podcast. I just don't add new episodes. I create content for this YouTube channel. So there's a lot of content in different places that I was creating and adding to my site. So signs that I knew that I needed to refresh my website. We're going to go from personal experience here, but also obviously I do this stuff a lot for clients. Um, my branding felt a little bit out of alignment, not my actual logos, colors, fonts. All of those still felt really right. I've been using those for the last 4 years. And the reason those still feel so right is because I took the time to get it really done right. And so they feel timeless to me and my personality and my brand. However, my website itself didn't feel like I was using my photos necessarily right. Like I didn't feel like, as a website designer, my website was really showcasing my expertise very well anymore. It felt a little clunky, dated. I hadn't necessarily felt a little like I'd added too much and had too much going on because I'd tweaked and added and added and added to things over 2.5, 3 year period. So the look of my website just felt a little heavy, and I really wanted it to feel more spacious and bright and fun and playful. I have quite masculine branded colors, which I love. I'm a big, as you know, like 9 times out of 10, you find me, I'm wearing burgundy. Today's an off day. But so, yeah, I just felt like that was a little bit off. My website didn't feel quite right. Additionally, I had several revisions and changes to what my offers and pricing were. And I also had added back in system design. So I was doing website design, and then I added system design, and I just didn't feel like my services were lined out very well on my existing website. Like I said, I felt like I had a lot of clutter on my site from adding and updating things over time, which you all know. I believe that a website should be evolving as you and your website, like that. That's the point. That's why I love Squarespace and Shopify, Square, like all these sites that I work with, because you can tinker with them over time. You can add to them. They are designed to grow with your business. However, after a certain point, you probably need to do a little bit of a cleanup here or there. And I was real overdue for a cleanup. One of the signs that I see a lot with clients that they need a website refresh is they haven't taken the time to add in any new content in a while. Now, this isn't my problem. I'm very good at creating content. But if you haven't created blog posts, podcast episodes, YouTube tutorials, if you haven't added any new pages or offers, your website will read as stale to the SEO gods, to the search engine people. So you want to make sure you're updating things on a semi-regular basis for that purpose as well. Another thing that I knew for me, and then especially, but also this is common, I think, is that my SEO keywords, my content across my page, and my SEO like descriptions and stuff that I have in the back end of Squarespace were all out of date as well. So I had to do a bit of an SEO health check on my site and do a lot of tweaking that way. The copy on my website was written by a professional a few years ago, and again, my business has just evolved, and I really took it as a challenge this time to learn how to write the copy really well myself through a directed process from an expert copywriter. And so because I work in web design, I just thought this is the time to really learn and figure out how to really get my message and my brand voice right, which obviously I've been evolving and perfecting for the entire time I've had my business, but it just felt like a good time to really bring it to that next level. So if your copy is out of alignment, if your copy is incorrect, or just feels like you've maybe outgrown the tone, something I've done in my copy on my site here is I've put strategic swear words throughout my copy, mostly because I swear in real life and I don't want my clients to feel caught off guard if I swear on a call. And I just really wanted it to be authentic to me. So those are most of the reasons. I think other reasons is, like I said, these platforms that we use for easy to evolve websites are constantly changing. Squarespace has released so much. So this version of my site, I was able to do in a much more streamlined, clean way. I was able to delete a lot of code from my site that I used to do things that I couldn't do when I built it the first time. Testimonial sliders and stuff are now just so easy to do, which I had to do with lots of roundabout ways before. So that's another reason. You can clean up your site. You can make it simpler. The other thing that I see a lot of my clients coming to me for is when you need your website to work harder for you in the background. So you need to add in scheduling. You need to add in a shop or a course or something. You need to essentially be giving people a way to plug in with you when you're offline. So you're creating, whether that be connection calls, or you're creating sales, or you're creating whatever it is for you to keep the wheels in motion in your business when you're like, I'm on vacation, or you're overwhelmed, or your kid's sick. So that's a lot of what I do, is building these systems into websites, because I love a good system, and your website is the front end of all of that. So those are the signs that I and most of my clients see when it's time for a website refresh. I will transcribe this. It will be, so if you're looking for like specific ones. And then I just want to talk really briefly about my offer, and then I'll show you my new website. So I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I will link it so you can see it. It's called the 1-day website refresh, and it is an offer that I'm doing from now through early April. It's got limited availability as far as I'm only offering it to 10 people. A couple slots are already gone. But it's a 1-day thing where you can essentially say, oh, I want this added to my site. I want this changed on my site. Literally every change you want. A course added, a podcast added. You want to change the branding. You're looking at overhauling this, that, or the other. Literally any changes you want to make to your site. Maybe you're on 7.0 with Squarespace and you want to move to 7.1. Maybe in Shopify, you just need a big cleanup of various things on your site. So in 1 day, I will do all of it. And now let's take a look at my brand new website. All right, so here's my site. I'm going to make my little face a little smaller here. Okay, so I made sure to have a really good, strong headline and a subhead, and then this little tweak that just helps people think like there's a personality pop there, right? And then I've got a fun image. I've rounded things in this version of my site. It just felt a little softer. some icons. I'm actually looking at getting these custom done. So a lot of these will be redone so that they match a little better and they're personalized to me, which I'm looking forward to. Got my freebie here. And I've rounded my buttons, but you can see, and I've just added a little personality with the wavy lines and things like that. So I'm just loving this newer, cleaner version. I had a testimonial slider before. It only showed one at a time, and it was a lot clunkier. I'm loving the new one. And then a way for people to plug into my podcast, YouTube channel, and blog, which is pretty much, so you can see up here, I have a much simpler navigation. I've got just a few things across here, and then I've got this one drop down, and that includes my portfolio and testimonials, which I've combined. I've also combined my blog, podcasts, and such here. And I've got another link to my quiz. I've got a few of those around because that's a call to action that brings people to my newsletter, hopefully. Though you can take the quiz without having to be on my newsletter. And so I've combined my portfolio and testimonials basically by having the portfolio that I already had and adding a few things to it. And then I might need to make that a little smaller. That's huge. And then adding testimonial slider. But this one has every testimonial ever, pretty much. And so those same testimonials are obviously inside the, this one's not a good example, but inside this will be a better one, the portfolio. So you can see testimonials and things in here as well. And then if you're into my blog, so I've redone this as well so that my blog and my YouTube and my podcast are all in one place. And so you can, from here, you can see all the content, or you can pick a format here. You can listen to just podcasts, YouTube, or whatever. You can see the categories of things I talk about. And then, so this is a custom sidebar that I got from themes, Squarespace themes. It's a little acronym, Omari over there. And that's that. It's still pretty much the same, just a little bit cleaner and a little bit more easy to use for people as a site. So I'm loving it. It feels a lot more me. It's important to know when it's time. It's important to take the time. I did my entire website refresh. I did in the first week back to work, and I redid all of my copy in the new year. So first week back in January, and the second week I redesigned my website. And in order to make it happen the way I wanted it to, I actually took my site down for just one day and made all the tweaks. Now, granted, I'm a website designer. I can do that at my brain. Like, I know how to make all the tweaks really, really fast, but that's what we do. So if you really want it done fast, come to a website designer, or if you want to do it in your own time, you can take your site down for a little bit longer, or do it without taking your site down and having hidden pages